But it's funny that you mentioned it earlier because it's a good segue into the next question where it's like you feel bad because sometimes it feels like all we do is dog on AEW, but they've got some pretty good stuff going on right now and
Mhm.
kind of leans into mom's last question, which is what does AEW have to do to bolster the ratings? I feel like they just need to start consistently having these compelling storylines like they're having right
Ye-
now.
Right.
Like like fucking Mariah, like oh my god, that was just I'm just like looking over Mike's questions real quick to think if he even said anything because I'm just like we need to talk
Yeah.
about that because oh my god. Okay, I think he has a little bit of a question, but we can go into it now. It was just like I'm like, okay, so Mariah's got to win it,
Mm.
and I was a little upset that Stat got involved because they got me for a minute. I'm just like, are they really gonna have this happen just so Mariah's win's tainted? And it didn't, luckily. But so I'm like, oh, thank God, we all got what we wanted. She goes up there as soon as she hits her with that belt. I literally out loud was like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I'm just like sitting there in shock, just
Yeah.
pure just shock because I think we had even talked about it before. We were expecting it to go the other way. Maybe
Yeah.
not that night, but we were expecting as we were building up to Wembley, Tony was just going to start to realize that, oh, hey, maybe I should really be worried about Mariah and oh well, you're not really me though, so you're not gonna actually beat me, right? You can't actually think that you're gonna beat me.
Right. And not only that, but they've done such a great job with the angle and the pairing of Tony and Mariah that we
Mm.
kind of forgot that idea that there could have been some underlying tension,
Yeah,
right?
the long term booking. We talked about it. That promo, because I think I sent it to you. The promo back in March, I think it said it was
Yeah.
when Tony was just looking at Mariah and she's like, this has been your plan all along, hasn't it? To come in and like steal my spotlight and whatever. And poor Mariah looked like she's about to shit herself. And then Tony's like, "Oh, that's such a great idea. I would have never thought of that." And it's just like she should have known this whole time. She should have known 4 months later, and it actually happens. And just oh, that it's hard to watch at the end.
Okay.
Not even just because of the blood, just like Tony actually like crying. I'm like, oh, this is really uncomfortable, which is like what you want. This is good. But it pretty much goes back to what I've said time and time again. Mariah May is no understudy, and she knows it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sets her up to be big deal because at the end of it, like I went from we say it every week. We can't believe that Mariah May is a real person because she looks like someone that was created in the lab. Like she's
Yeah.
literally the
Yep.
perfect specimen. Now after this situation, she scares the shit out of me. Like
Yeah. I'm like, I still love her though. Like I said, I'm not mad. I'm
I
disappointed. I'm
I'm
mad.
I'm
Not mad.
terrified because the way she beat on Tony Storm's skull with that
With that
shoe,
shoe.
she beat the hell out of that girl. Like,
Like
it
that callback though.
yeah,
How many times did Tony say, watch for the shoe? And what was the one thing that took her out was the shoe.
was the shoe. It just I
Ugh,
I mean you saw my reaction in real time
yeah.
because like
Yes.
I didn't there was no inkling in my brain that Mariah was going to turn on Tony. You
No.
know, we talked about possibly before because it had the whole idea of the mentor and the protege, and usually sometimes that happens, there becomes a power struggle, but they've stretched this out so long that that idea kind of leaves your mind. You're like, well,
Hmm.
they're a pairing, they're together.
Yeah.
We saw them overcome the whole Mina Shirakawa
Their
situation.
mother and their mother and daughter.
Yeah,
Like
it was just like, and so when this happened,
ugh,
it was just like,
broke my heart.
wow. It did, but it was so smart because
Yeah.
it was one of those things where you cannot deny the popularity of timeless Tony Storm. She literally, with this idea, this character, she struck gold.
Oh
She
yeah.
struck gold, especially this day and age, 2024. It's very hard to come up with an original idea, an original character that just works. that
Yeah.
you could just morph into and put your all in. And now she'll be able to do that as a baby face, as someone that the crowd can cheer. They'll have sympathy for her, but she'll be
Oh,
one of those
yes.
people that, like, this situation, she's heartbroken, but she's going to turn that heartbreak into vengeance, and she's
Yeah.
going to she's going to want to go after Mariah. She's
Yeah.
going to want to tear her apart. We've seen what a motivated, timeless Toni Storm
Mhm.
sounds like. She sounds like an absolute genius who
Yes.
can cut the best promos I've ever seen ever. Could you imagine now when she has
Oh
revenge
god.
on her mind, the stuff that's going to come out of her mouth?
I
Like,
cannot wait.
you remember she just had a throwaway line where she was like, you talk about hell, I sleep with my demons every night.
Yeah.
Like, and that was just a throwaway line. Imagine now that she's had her
Mhm.
heart broken.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be this is gonna be some of her best work easily.
I cannot wait for this. I do have to say though, and I don't know if you'll share this sentiment, but I was kind of talking about it with I think it was with mom a little bit ago. I was kind of rewatching it and I said, what I didn't like, and it had nothing to actually do with Mariah or Tony or Luther. It had to do with the announce team. I hated that immediately they're just like, "Oh my god, was she planning this whole time?"
Yeah.
It's like, guys, if
Let,
you would have just shut the fuck up, she's literally, and I guarantee you, she's literally gonna come out and say that
mhm.
tomorrow on Dynamite. Like, yeah, she probably was thinking about it this whole time, but don't telegraph it before she
Right.
can explain her actions. People should have had the last week or so to wonder what happened. Oh, was this just a spur of the moment thing? Did the like fame get to her head? Has she been planning this whole thing? I don't know why they had to go out and just be like, "Oh my god, was she like planning this whole time?" It's like,
Right.
guys, you don't need to telegraph it. Just let it be.
Right. And the thing is, if you let it be and you let the audience come to their own conclusions, they're
Yeah.
going to say, well, they didn't answer the question, so I have to tune in next week to get the answer to that question. You
Yeah.
know, you know,
'Cause
the,
it makes too much sense now that it's, "Oh, well, she's been planning this whole time." It's like, yeah, no shit, she probably has,
right.
but
Or like, we could have you could have left it to what moment was it that it clicked for Mariah? Maybe she
yeah,
wasn't planning it.
why would she do this?
Right. Maybe she wasn't planning it the entire time. Maybe she did really have this love and admiration for Toni Storm, that she wanted to emulate her because she looked up to her. But there was
Yeah,
a moment in that partnership where something clicked, and it clicked in the
yeah,
wrong way for Mariah. So what was that point? Again,
yeah,
it's letting the audience come to that conclusion, because the more questions means we have to tune in to watch what's going to happen. That goes back to the question of how do you bolster the ratings?